food, place, safety, our secret proposal, and all the bad things that happened.
What's going on? This is Shane and T Goes to Brazil. I'm Shane.
And I'm T.
And if you know us, you know us. If you don't, now you do. And this is kind of our recap of what we saw when we went to Brazil. I was never there, and T, it's been almost half a decade since you've been there.
4 years, yeah.
So lots changed, a lot of cool things you should know about. Let's check it out.
When we were getting there, of course, for me, it was like pretty emotional. It's been like years I was not being able to see my family. I was getting emotional and we had to go rent a car. So we got the car, drove back to my parents' house. Okay, that moment for me was like, very emotional, but I kind of got emotional by myself. I thought my parents. My mom was just like, why are you crying? Whatever. And my dad, it was just like the way he is, like all quiet in the corner, like hanging out. It was like actually funny because Shane wasn't speaking Portuguese. They don't speak English at all. The first impact right there, my mom was just like, wow, he looks bigger than the photos in the video. So we were hungry and we stopped before. So there was like a grau. Shane got amused by this place.
I thought it was so cool. Like, we have like super gas stations here. Like we have Sheetz or Wawa or these places that can like make food and also like, they're like whatever. But then you go into one of these places and you're like, whoa, man, this is like it's like a food court within the place, but like good food that was like, it looked like handmade and it was great. It wasn't tuna fish sandwich, in a little freezer.
Definitely
it was
not.
like a real buffet, like a restaurant. We got sushi and like baked ham and
Pasta, lasagna.
and it was like it was a very mixed match of food, but it was delicious.
What was the difference for you, like seeing in the houses? He took a picture of the shower.
I did. So I had a few things that stood out to me. Always lock everything up. I didn't grow up in the city, I grew up in a farm. And even where we live here, we're not always like, we don't have to have bars or anything on our windows. So to like go in the house and then have like, like this like crazy prison gate thing and close it and lock it all the time was super different for me. The house not having air conditioning, it was hot, like really hot. And all we had was a little house fan. And at night when you're sleeping, you can just feel this like amazing breeze. And then it was like, come back. Oh, and you're like, I'm dying. What made me laugh was the first time I had to shower. And that was like looking at the shower head. And I'm like, why is there 2 electrical wires coming out of my shower head? Oh my God, there's like the electricity going into the shower. And I'm like, oh, it's an electric water heater that heats the water as it's going into the head and you control it from the head. I've never seen an outlet right plugged in next to the shower head. And I'm like, I sent it to my friends. I'm like, I think this is how I died today. That was interesting. And then I got over I held it as long as I could, but then I finally had to go to the bathroom. I had to take the toilet paper and put it in the trash can, not in the toilet.
Yes.
And I was super nervous because I'm like, what if you take this enormous poop and you have to just like keep wiping your butt, and then what, do you just like fill up the trash can and then the next person comes in and I just keep like putting it in the trash can and I'm thinking, oh my God. They're gonna judge me so hard if like this guy wasted a whole roll of toilet paper. I got over it, and then by the 4th day in the trip, it was all good.
No one said anything. What was your favorite food? And what was your least favorite food?
Favorite food, cupim. I thought cupim was really cool. It was different, or at least the name is so different. I don't think we have this. It's a cut of like, their cows have a big hump on them.
Yeah, you guys don't have this.
They kind of look like Indian cows, like for the cows in India. They have a big hump on them, and it's the meat from that hump. And cupim translates to like the termite hill.
Second one.
The ham and cheese sandwich every morning. So I got to the point where I didn't want it anymore. I was like, okay, I'm eating this too much. It's so deceptively simple that's what I think makes it so good. And it's just like butter on this like Brazilian bread.
Oh, French bread, pão francês.
Presunto, which is just like but it's like a saltier version of like ham that we have here, but it's not like this sweet and weird. It just tastes really good. It's just like good ham. I think just in general, it's not even a favorite dish, but fruits and eggs and just general like produce had such a good flavor. It just was super fresh and clean. And I think I have two more foods that were super memorable. One was the experience, but also the food was good too. The Mexican popsicles. Paletas. And the girls were so cool and so nice. They were working a stand. They were so cute and like nice, and you just love them immediately. And they just kept like, oh, it's your first time? Well, here's another one, and here's another one. And I'm like, well,
They gave us a bunch of free.
I don't want like 5 popsicles at once. Like, they're pretty big. Yeah. And then the chicken sandwich, the Galion chicken sandwich, which I haven't had a chicken sandwich like that in a really long time, if at all. Man, it was so good. The chicken was like so soft, and the bread was so crispy and good. And it was just this like, imagine the best chicken Hot Pocket type thing you've ever eaten, and make it as fresh as you can. And that's what it was. It was delicious. I ate 2 in one sitting.
I have to add that I have never found that outside my hometown. So in Itapetininga, they have this place called Galinhão. There's like a trailer in a corner. I never had any other chicken sandwich like that one. My friends from Itu used to come to my hometown with me just to go eat at this place. And if you guys have a place in Brazil that you have some kind of sandwich like this, please let me know, because I will tell you that you're not gonna find one like that one.
We will go there next time, I promise. When we go to Brazil, we will try it.
I've never been to Japan, so I don't know how sushi's there. We put like so many things, cream cheese and all kind of sauce. I think they do sauce here in the United States too, but nothing beats, at least here in the United States, I never ate like a great sushi like the sushi in Brazil. And I bet you can say the same. Well, the sushi experience was pretty good.
I've been lucky enough to go to Japan, so I was going in with, a biased view, and I've been lucky enough to eat at some really, really nice sushi places here in the United States. Obviously, Japan is tops. They've been doing it forever, so they got it down.
Yeah.
And not just sushi, but like chirashi bowls and ways that you use fish. Japanese are hands down have it perfect. What is wild about Brazilian sushi is that it's salmon for like 90% of it, and then some tuna, and then some places will have some other like
crab, shrimp,
random fish.
Shrimp, I think is common.
Salmon quality, wherever they get their salmon, it is delicious, and it's super tender, and it has a really good flavor. It tastes fresh. I think all the savory foods in Brazil, I'm all about it. I'm not like into like ultra sweet things, so I think like Brigadeiro is a little strong, like where I'm just like, it reminds me of like if Tootsie Rolls were like amazing, this is what they would be like, and even still, I can't get into it. I think all the dulce de leche stuff, I guess dulce de leche is good, but again, it's like in like a little spoonful. But then you put some chocolate and some milk powder, game totally changes. Then you have pavé and you have desserts like that. I'll just sit there and eat it all day.
And they are as sweet as those things. So I think it's just a flavor.
A different flavor for me. It's less like caramelized sugar and more like sweet milk. Another thing that I just absolutely loved about Brazil that I think the United States has kind of like faltered on that, or has just separated from that, was this like sense of community and this vibe of family and friends and just public gathering. I think they just own the space of warmth and invitingness, if that's a word. Like, they're just so inviting to be like, yeah, whatever, man, like, come over and hang out. Or like neighborhood kids would run in and like peek in the window and like see what's going on. And it just felt like super just, I don't know, connected. It's like how I described it was like what the 90s felt like as a child here in the United States. It's like, it just had this very like, not focus on tech, it was focus on people. It just had this warmth to it that like I sorely missed. And it had this nostalgic feeling of like, man, I can't understand the language, but I can understand the body language and like the friendliness of everyone.
I've been to Minas Gerais before, and I've been there once, and I always told Shane that it was like an amazing place. So I was like, okay, if we're not going to the beach, which everybody was judging me and saying like, how come you're not gonna bring the Gringo to the beach? I was like, I know, there's the point, but we'll have more opportunities to go. Shane decided to, did a surprise for me in Minas in one of the waterfalls, but that actually almost went super, super wrong.
I crashed the drone, almost lost all of the footage that we shot for the day.
Yes.
And didn't have the drone to do the surprise proposal to Tais. So I was setting it up and I was setting keyframes on the drone. And I forgot I turned off the obstacle avoidance because I was like flying around these cliffs. It flew backwards, and where this was this giant like multi-waterfall. So there was one on one side and then one on the other. So I get the drone, I'm flying it backwards, and there's like these like big grass like fronds that are like blowing back and forth up on the rock cliff. Because I'm looking at the keyframes and I'm trying to do this fast, and I'm like already kind of nervous, to do this. And I want to pull the ring out. I'm trying to do the math in my head of like, I take it back and it goes, and I just see it and it goes like, go. And I'm like, oh my God, the freaking drone is in this water. And
he was so nervous.
Well, I'm like, of all the places it could crash, I'm like, it's over all this water on a cliffside. I'm like, oh, it's done. I'm gonna, even if I can dive in and get it, I'm like, okay, that's better than nothing. So I like rip my shirt off. I like have to like go down this like whole mountain top and like climb down this waterfall basically. And I'm standing at the cliff. I'm like, tell me it crashed and then got sucked down the river. I'm like, this is it. This is the worst thing that could happen ever. I'm looking and I'm like, man, it's not in the water. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's got, I'm like, Lord, tell me it's hung up on a cliff. And I look up and like eye height over like 5 feet this way. It's just sitting there like, bloop, 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 bloop. And it's just sitting on this like grass, like perfect. Everything's fine. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, there was this one little piece of grass in this entire thing that it could have landed on, and that's what it landed on. Somewhere in some universe, someone smiled and was like, I'll give you this one today. The shot was gonna be like waterfall, pull back, show the other waterfall, go up high. It went straight back 10 feet, and that was the shot. And I was cool with that. I was like, that's safe. So that's that. Shane and T's trip in Brazil. If you want a place with great food, if you want a place with great sights, if you want to change the way you see Brazil and South America, go to the country, go check it out. You won't at all regret it. And it'll be a really cool thing to tell your kids about. It's a life experience you don't want to miss.
Or date a Brazilian, that's also gonna be a different experience.
Or marry a Brazilian if you want the full experience. Date one for the trial, marry one for the full extended package. I was happy with it. I'm okay with it. I'm all in. It's a good choice. It's a good choice.